Let's go. What's up, R8RBEAR? Oh, let's go. Let's go. Oh, getting imitated. Never duplicated. That fool with no hair. That shouts like Ric Flair. Woo! What? Woo! Woo! The R8RBEAR! R8RBEAR! Rick and Morty Raiders. I'm sorry. You should never laugh at your own jokes, but I do that. I just admit that. Rick and Morty Raiders. That cracks me up every time. What's up, fam? Welcome to the show. Appreciate you all tuning in to see your boy R8RBEAR, like it says on the pillows. You know you're famous when your name is on pillows. It's just a fact. All right, so since there's really not a lot to talk about tonight, what we're going to talk about tonight, guys, is the intricacies of the 3-4 defense and what it could mean to our staff and our players. We're also going to talk about some of the moms of the players on the team and how they feel about how the season's going. No, right? I'm not with it at all today. I don't care. I didn't clean up the studio. I did nothing. I had to come on and talk about one thing and one thing only. And I just can't think of what we should be discussing tonight. Maybe how the season might change if we were to bring in a few guys that can really play football. Might help if we could get someone across from Max Crosby. That one, I actually mean it. I don't know. Maybe we'll figure this out. I don't know. Maybe, but I tend to doubt it. I'm not doing my opening again. You guys saw my opening. I'm not doing my opening again. I'm celebrating. Yes! Yes! R8RBEAR! Woo! Down goes the Joshie. 1, 2, 3. Boom! Let's go! Asaltante Oso to tell you all that we are done with the McPoopy Pants. It's over. That's it. No, that's it. I'm celebrating. Not trying to pour it on. Well, maybe a little, but yeah. So yeah, that's the end of the Joshams. No. I'm celebrating with coffee, no champagne. This is a family show. I have kids that watch me. Hi, Tommy. So we can't be doing that. So we got a lot to talk about. I mean, we have a lot to talk. We have a lot to talk about. It's amazing how your franchise can take a shower just from firing its coach. I mean, we smell so fresh and clean right now. Hey, look, trust me, this changes the attitude of Davante Adams threefold. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. There's a dozen things that this improves almost instantly by firing him. Obviously, we need a better coach. Okay, you fire him, we're going to get a better coach because whoever we get is going to be better than that. We're going to talk about coaching options in just a second, too. A lot to go over. Who the starting quarterback is going to be and why, how we're going to handle that, what's going on with Jimmy Garoppolo. So much to talk about. But we will do that momentito. I'm not even going to do a medal round tonight. I'm not going to do the medal round tonight. This is too big. We got to talk about it. But I got to say it just for once. R8RBEAR Live. First comment, woo, MVP tonight goes to Carlos Boykins. Because I love Carlos Boykins, and he does not win a lot of golds, so I just could not take that from him. And you beat out Carlos. Dustin! That's it. I'm going to do the whole thing. John Leon won YouTube. John, the Lion, Leon. Okay, that's it. And Ramiro Castro came in second for the silver on YouTube. All right, love you guys. Much love. I'm not announcing the bronze. Okay, get over that. It's just a bronze. Just get over that. All right, let's move forward. Jason. Going to kick themselves out of their own shows sometimes. It happens. Okay, I'm excited. We have a lot to discuss. I have no clue how Marlo heard you from the other side of the house. That's not true, Vicky Ginn. R8RBEAR! My voice gets a little bit more bionic when we fire stupid coaches. Yes. Yeah, John LaJoy, Jimmy G is riding the pine, probably, if we're lucky, permanently. Vernon Moshman, what's up? Welcome to the show. Dustin King! One more time. Stars contributed to the show go to charities like the Kind Fund, Kids in Need of Jex. We also work with St. Jude's and early onset cancer. We are working with Punks for Autism. We've actually been sponsoring 3 animals for a year now. And, you know, obviously when we hit January, we'll be going into year 2. So we're really excited. We're on over 10,000 shows broadcast now. That's right. 10,000 shows broadcast. You guys notice all this stuff that I could be bragging about. I have a lot. Okay. I swear to you, I have a story about a little girl being brought home in an ambulance crying her eyes out. And they played for her my show, R8RBEAR Live, and she started laughing because she was a Raider fan. And the ER guy knew it in the ambulance. He knew it because he saw her jersey and everything, and he knew who I was because he'd watched my show, and he pulled it up on his phone because he knew they were going to be on a long drive. And he held my show up for her, and it made her stop crying, and she laughed all the way to the hospital. Okay, all right. I'm bragging on that one, just that one. I'm not going to tell you more. I have more though. Consider a subscription to R8RBEAR family page. It's just $5 a month, and you won't cancel because we're doing a lot of special things, including the one I just told you about. Check it out. It's right down there next to the blue thumbs up. There's a green badge. Click on that, and you're on your way to subscribe to R8RBEAR Live. And as far as your YouTubers, I'm not saying anything to you, okay? I'm not selling you on anything, okay? You YouTubers don't even have to pay for it, but I'm supposed to come begging for you to get my, no, okay? I only want my loyalist of loyals on YouTube, okay? That way, when I get to 1 million, they'll all be my peoples. La raza. Yes, George Lewis, and congrats to the Rangers for winning the World Series that no one watched. The ratings were just garbage. You can look it up. I'm dead serious. I can see him going to McDaniels with the Vince McMahon voice. You're fired. Put butts in Josh McDaniels, right? Travis Kelly all day. It had to be said. You know, it had to be said. No, in fact, it's such a happy day. It had to be said better than that. Put in butts in them. Okay, there it goes. It changes the whole attitude of the locker room. George Prieto, not only does it change the whole, I'm just going to go on your comment, and I completely agree. It changes the attitude of the locker room, but it changes also the attitude of everyone associated with the locker room, all the players, plus the agents, plus the staff moving forward. They're going to have to really, be on their P's and Q's because Mark Davis is looking for a head coach. Now, when I say P's and Q's, I'm really just talking about the new GM, Champ. I think Champ could actually win the job. I really do, because Mark Davis loves that guy. I mean, he loves Champ. And so if he even does, an average job moving the rest of the way forward, and it's not like he can make a lot of moves. We're past the trade deadline. So he's going to have to do it in office kind of stuff with Mark Davis, but I could see that sticking. Now, as far as Antonio Pierce, Now, we know there's going to be a movement by people to say, oh, give Antonio Pierce the job. But I want you guys out there that are a part of Raider Nation to remember, I was against keeping Rich Bisaccia. I was completely against that. And for those of you who didn't know that, I'm showing these balls right now, being completely straight with you, when, you know, I could eat that story and just look like Mr. Smart. No. Okay. I'm not doing that. I'm telling you everything. When we were, you know, trying to get the franchise to stick with Rich Bisaccia, I said, no, he's never been a head coach. He doesn't know how to make game adjustments. No. Okay. Now there's no way to know how that might have panned out. He might have been a good coach. It might have worked out just because he had the locker room so behind him. Who knows? But I'm going to say Antonio Pierce wins the job. Now, I don't have any source on that, like I did on Friday's prediction that Josh McDaniels would be fired, and I already had it. Yeah. And don't act like it's not a big deal, because it is a big deal, because he still had like 4 or 5 years on his contract. Okay. And I predicted it right now. No more of us just begging, hoping that Josh would be fired. I told you that I had a source that said on Friday, or that I got just before Friday's show, that he was done. Done. I guaranteed it. I said on Friday, everyone take a deep breath. Josh McDaniels is going to be fired. I did stress, though, that I felt like they would wait till the end of the season. Now, that's where things got organic. See, when I got the tip from my source, I knew, okay, this is, you know, I can say it. This is incredible. I got it really excited. I said, we can finally fire Josh McDaniels. And then I said, but it probably won't be till the end of the season. I felt like he was going to be at least patient in that regard, because usually it's an embarrassment to the franchise when you have to fire a guy in the middle of the season. You know what I mean? Because remember, that was his pick. So to have to fire a guy in the middle of the season, back to back, by the way, John Gruden and now Josh McDaniels, owing both guys money. You know what I mean? Not so much with Josh McDaniels. It's not this killer total like we thought. So that's why he was able to pull the trigger. And I also told you that the deal with Tom Brady would, and it's being held up. Oh, there was some sort of problem with the Mark Davis, Tom Brady deal. And they said, oh, well, it's, you know, they don't want Mark Davis to give Tom Brady such a sweetheart deal. It's not enough money. That was all BS. That was a cover story. That was all BS. That was for Mark to shuffle money so that he could do what he did. And then Sunday's loss just made it where he was super fed up. And since he had the money and he had the deal done, he just said, pull the trigger. And it's smart. It gives you more time now to look at other coaches. It makes those other coaches look at you more seriously right now, because you committed to firing him right now, instead of getting into a bidding war and competition with other teams for who might be the best coach available. Now we're ahead of that class. Now we're the most lucrative job available, with all these weeks to study the team, look at the players without falling under any sort of pressure from the press. Oh, are you really going to take the job? Are you really going to take the job? A guy like John Harbaugh could look at this job, you know, for quite a while before he has to really worry about, oh, okay, I'm going to have to start answering questions about whether I'm going to take this job or not. You know what I mean? So it's beautiful. It really is. It's beautiful. Who you want as the next coach? Eric Peterson. We'll go into that too in just a second. I'll jump on that too. Vicky! Appreciate the love on the stars, girl. Now, Eric, I would say the list. I had a list here. Let me see if I still have it. Obviously, at the top of the list, you have John Harbaugh. Okay. Now, when I say obviously, I don't mean that's because he's the best candidate. I just mean that he's the name guy. So when you have a name guy, you're always sorry. I've got people messaging me left and right. But when you're the name guy, you're going to be at the top of the list. You know what I mean? So there he is, Jim Harbaugh. Also, Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator. I thought that was super interesting. Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. There's Jim Harbaugh again. Dan Quinn, the Cowboys defensive coordinator. Now, honestly, the Dan Quinn potential job was interesting to me, because Dan Quinn is a legit defensive coordinator. I mean, he gets guys on page. And when he had the couple opportunities with the Dallas Cowboys, to show what he had. He showed well. And the fact that Jerry Jones didn't, pull the trigger with him and instead went with McCaffrey has looked like a bad decision. So the Dan Quinn potential there is still there. Now, the offensive coordinator for the Dolphins, Frank Smith, that's another one. Frank Smith has shown what he's done with the Dolphins already. I mean, it's very impressive. And you're talking about a team that was a perennial loser that he turned around like that. You know what I mean? With a quarterback who, in my opinion, has a slow delivery. You know what I mean? It's really this offense and Tariq Hill's speed. That can't be ignored either. But very impressive. But I would lean toward him, Frank Smith, or Dan Quinn. I think the Dan Quinn hire could really be interesting because he's a defensive presence, which, doesn't go toward the trend right now. The trend right now is hiring offensive coordinators. But how has that trend panned out? You haven't seen it really pan out as far as, they're all having success, because they're not. You know what I mean? The kid with Miami is, obviously, but some of the other teams are not. And so I wouldn't mind, like, for example, the Arizona Cardinals completely collapsed and they went all offense, with their coaching staff. And so Carlos Magana said, I'm surprised it took this long. Carlos, honestly, I think that Mark Davis really was trying to be old school. I mean, and really give a coach an opportunity. I mean, to be honest with you, if you just step back and you didn't know anything about what Josh did, you just saw the record, you would probably still say, what are they doing? The guy just got here. He's trying to flip the roster. He's trying to get his own staff. He's got to get players from the losing off the team and players that he believes that can contribute to the winning on the team. Then he's got to get them all on the right page with the offense. If you really just step back and you knew nothing about the situation, this would look ridiculous. A year and a half into a guy you just hired that's got to clean up the mess, then rebuild it, then get them all on the same page. You know what I mean? This is too fast. But we, as experienced Raider fans and most of the league having experienced people that have seen football enough to know that this was garbage, what we were getting. It was garbage. You know what I mean? It just was. Jimmy G's the bench warmer and the water boy. You got to hope that they move on from Jimmy G, but at the same time, it's turning out that we're not going to take as bad a bath on how much we would owe Jimmy G at the end, and with the whatchamacallit, the guarantees on his injuries, whatever the case may be, because we would be releasing him. It wouldn't actually be about he's injured, and now because he's injured and can't play anymore, we have to pay out this massive injury thing. Now it turns out it's not that. See, because he was ready to come back, he's ready to play. So because he's ready to play, if we say, hey, we're done, and we release him, it only works out to just under $12 million. That's not bad. And it goes against the cap for this season, not next season. So he'll get his money, but he'll get, a little bit more fair total. And it helps us, obviously, in the long run, too, as opposed to going into some $30-40 million payout. Now it's going to be 12. Well, roughly 12. It's actually under 12. Jim Vanderland, Bear! Junior Lamas, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. MVP last night, Mark Davis coming through. David Bell Cliver, I know that was humor, and I don't care. Wrong button. Anna Diaz, it happens. I shut myself out sometimes. Jake Scott, my time ball busting son of a gun. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. The autumn wind has no room for clowns. Kick rocks, Patriot coaches. That's right. The Patriot way was getting really old. James Walker and Prisetta in the house. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. And so it begins, the beginning of let's get the hell out from under of all this nonsense. The good part is even though we also fired the general manager, Dave Ziegler, he actually left us with, a couple of pieces. I mean, the Michael Mayer tight end position pick can't be argued. It just can't. The Tyree Wilson thing, obviously it looks like it's not going to work out. But going back to what I was saying before, you would never normally make your decision on that high a pick this fast. So With Tyree, he's got a little more time with us. You know what I mean? It is that era, you know what I mean, of instant gratification because of what you pay these guys. So we act like the moment they're picked, especially first round picks, they got to contribute and contribute now. And I'm a believer of that too, to be honest with you. You can be a contributor and not be like this all pro stud. You know, we just want to see him make plays, but we're not even seeing that. You know what I mean? It's not good. He's starting to look outclassed, and that's not good for a first round pick. Keith Armbruster, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Jake, I appreciate the love, brother. Tommy, what's up, little buddy? Welcome to the show. We have a new coach, and our sissy quarterback got benched. Oh, and Tommy, listen, I love you, little brother, and you got to remember this, okay, from your Uncle Bear, okay? You are not a jinx to the Raiders, okay? Trust me. This has been going bad for a little bit longer than people realize. You know, this has not, you know, been this short period of time being bad. And I will say it out loud. It's something over 15 years. The Raiders have really been trying to find a good team. And I don't mind saying that. It's just facts. There are lots of other teams among these 30 plus NFL teams that have stunk for a lot longer, that have stunk and looked even, you know, bad right now, where at least the Raiders have players. We look good. We have to get out there and put wins together, but I think we can do that now. I'm excited about Antonio Pierce, guys. I really am. And I kind of put my support behind him where, you know, when Rich Bisaccia was out there, I did not. I had no interest in that. And I made that very clear. The Antonio Pierce signing, very different matter. This is a guy now who comes in with clout and credibility. He's played in the NFL. He's won in the NFL. And he didn't just win. He was fierce, okay? Antonio Pierce was a fierce linebacker. I cannot stress that enough. And he's one of those guys that's loved in locker rooms because he brings that still to this day, that passion, that attitude, that way of logic of how you bring it for your franchise. And he loves being a Raider. He's going to bring this roster right now. You know what I mean? And I honestly, there are those of us who know what it's like to see your franchise get a pick-me-up from the fact that you brought in this new coach and you fired this guy that all the nation wanted gone. And now there's going to be this new energy in the locker room that's going to be matched by the players and by the fans. They know how Raider Nation feels about this, and they're going to be freed. They're going to feel freed. They're going to go out there. They're going to let it hang loose, and we're going to see better football from this exact same squad because we don't have that clown in there doing stupid clown things. Antonio Pierce is going to bring this team into the light. I'm telling you, it's going to be beautiful. Keith Armbruster! Appreciate the love on the stars. Bill Cox, I appreciate the love. He says, you called it, Bear, and you were right. And you know, honestly, I'm not bragging. You notice I'm not talking about it over and over again. I only say that because I want my audience to know my credibility. It isn't like these other shows. I see all these other shows, and guys, they're not even wearing Raider clothes. They're not even repping Raiders in their studio behind them. They have Superman characters and furniture and all this nonsense. They don't wear the clothes. They don't wear the hats. They don't love Raider Nation the way the Raider Bear loved the Raider Nation, because I don't have to talk about it. I be about it. Okay. Okay. From day one, 10,000 shows. So make sure you pay attention when you watch these other Cracker Jack shows come on and they say, oh, I love the Raiders. And oh, I broadcast for the Raiders. You know, these are just clowns. They're just trying to, raise their own credibility by standing behind, the greatest shield in NFL history. I don't do that. I'm about the Raiders. I seen the interview with the interim coach and general manager, and I like what they have to say so far. And I think they're going to be a good fit. Maybe they can stick around and coach next season as well. Dustin King, I'm predicting it. Now, obviously, there's going to be the John Harbaugh rumors and people that want Mark Davis to go after him. I don't like it. If you go back and you look at John Harbaugh and his style, it was all about win one for the Gipper, get emotional. Oh, win one. Oh, come here, Kaepernick. I'm going to pound on your I'm going to pound on your shoulder pads just before you come in and out, because that's what I want to do. Emotion. I want you to know I love you, kid. I want you to go in there and win one for the ball. Go in there and win one for John. Give me a break. I want to coach that. I mean, now don't get me wrong. Harbaugh has won. He's been a good coach, but I just see him more as an emotional guy. I don't know how many of you know this, but John Harbaugh has one of the best staffs in football. And I mean, like, all of football. All of his guys have been around football for 20 plus years. They know defense and special teams and offense that most people have forgotten. They've been around so long. And so really the mystique of John Harbaugh gets lost on the fact that he brings the same staff everywhere he goes, guys. When he was with the Niners, he had this staff. He went to Michigan, he brought that same staff. And I guarantee you, if he gets another job in the NFL, just watch. Even if it's not with us, just watch. If he gets another job in the NFL, he's going to bring that same staff with him because they're great. They know him. He knows them. And they have a good thing. You know what I mean? They're not going to quit John Harbaugh. See, so to me, his winning ways are his staff. And I just don't know if I want that. I want a coach that can come in and with a good staff, but the coach knows what, because the staff can only do so much. They can bring you close to it, but I want a winner. Eric Peterson said the Raiders will continue to be mediocre because they don't hire top tier recipe for success. Now, Eric, I don't agree with that, only because I feel like the timing is just right. For example, Eric, if I hired you and you were making mistakes left and right, and then year 2 came and you're making mistakes left and right, and then year 3 comes, wouldn't you make a change? And if you made that change, wouldn't you consult other people at this point and say, hey, you know what? I can't keep doing this. I can't keep thinking I know what's best for the team. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to reach out to people who know football and try to make a better decision. I think that there's going to be enough Raiders from the past, the Charles Woodsons of the past, who are going to step up quietly and say, Antonio Pierce knows what he's doing. I wouldn't be surprised if Rich Gannon comes forward quietly, not with all of us knowing about it, and says, hey, man, Antonio Pierce knows what he's doing. That guy knows football. And then also, you notice there were reports over the weekend, even before the Sunday game, before Josh is fired, but after I had announced it, that there were rumors that Tom Brady was coming down to Mark Davis and was gonna set him straight about what's going on with Josh and not to listen to the fans, and that Josh knows what he's doing. I've just got to help him get himself on the right track. Wrong. That story too was BS. And so I tell you all the time, follow your boy, the Bear, because I have no ulterior motive. I don't have sponsors pushing me I have sponsors, but they don't push me in a certain direction. I don't have pressure from former players or my staff, because it's me and a little redheaded lady of rage that bring you this knowledge. And, a set of people that give me the scoop on things because they're real close to the Raiders to this day, but I can't say who they are, but I love you. I want to say that. I don't get to say it often enough, but I love my people that bring me this stuff, and I really appreciate you. And just know that'll never change. Benny Arriaga, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Keith Armbruster, I think it's going to happen. I really do. I really do. I think it's coming. I don't think there's any doubt. Okay, let me move on to that because, I know you guys are asking me that too. So let me just move on to that, okay? I want to say as loudly as I can, Antonio Pierce is going to release the Kraken. I mean that seriously. I don't think that we should be calling Max Crosby the Condor. I don't like that. He's the Kraken. I think it's coming. I really do. You got to remember that guy is a defensive guy at heart. He is going to want to release the Kraken. I'm telling you, man, it's coming. I think we may even see something from Tyree. I really do. Because remember, not only is Josh McDaniels not a guy who can come to a player and with his words and his knowledge lift that player up. In reality, it's the opposite. He seems to drain the life out of guys. I think that a guy like Antonio Pierce can go to Tyree Wilson and say, look, man, I need it. And that's not going to come from Josh, but a guy like that that's played in the league, and that's not going to just give him pressure. He's going to say to him, I need it, man. You're a first-round pick. There's going to be a lot of pressure on you. There's a lot of light on you with the press. Man, I need it now. You know what I mean? But then what he says after that, see, I can't tell you. I can't even act and mimic what Antonio Pierce is going to bring, because it would be disrespectful for me to try, because I haven't played in the NFL, but Antonio has. And he knows just what to say to a fellow pro, especially one this young, who's going to relate to him and feel him right from jump. And we're going to see an upgrade out of Tyree. Look, Tyree Wilson. Look. I can't stress this enough. The bounce, everything is in place. I'm going to say it again with my chest, just like I said on Friday that Josh McDaniels would be fired, and I scooped all the other press. I'm going to go one more further and say Antonio Pierce is about to turn this Raider squad, this one, into the most dangerous team in football, because we got nothing to lose, but we have players that can back it up, a wild card and a little rookie quarterback, and now a coach that's going to go out there, fire this team up, and make them run around like hungry dogs. I'm telling you guys, you don't know what we got. Antonio Pierce has always been with us, but he's always been on the staff, never really been able to put his imprint on things. This is going to be good, guys. The emotional wave that this is going to carry underneath Aiden O'Connell. And for those of you who wanted this losing to continue, because we might get the quarterback of USC, or we might get a really high draft pick, screw that. Okay? Antonio, watch. Next season, he'll bring in veterans. He'll bring in guys that can play. And just because everyone's this happy and excited, woo, I had to have the red-headed Lady of Rage, woo, come in and give you all just a little bit more to be happy about. Because even the red-headed Lady of Rage is excited about this. Oh, and Marlo's watching, so you can only stay for a minute. No, Eric Bieniemy, Bill Cox. I don't really love the Eric Bieniemy thing. I really don't. I think he's a smart guy. I know he knows offense and all that other stuff, but I'm not. I'm all right with that. You know what I mean? I see what he's doing for Washington, and and it's all right. You know what I mean? What he did for the Chiefs, it was pretty good. But what he's doing now for Washington, it's I don't know. I don't know. Something feels wrong about that to me. Bob Standard, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Jim Garrison, I woke up to the news this morning on the East Coast. Today was a good day. That's right, Jim. Welcome to the show. I don't care when you heard it. It's always good news. Tanamoku, Quinn has Cowboys defense among the top. Tanamoku, you're bringing me back to that, so I'll go ahead and say I like the idea of Dan Quinn. To me, Dan Quinn and Frank Smith, the offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins, are number 1 and 2. Or you could either one, Frank Smith and then Quinn. I either one, I would be jacked about it. But I want to be clear. I'm looking into the camera, and you guys that watch my show a lot, you know me. I don't do this. I'm just going to go right out and say Antonio Pierce should be our next coach. Now, you watch us work. And if over these next few games, if he pans out to be not the guy because we keep losing and he can't figure it out, I don't care. I'll come right out and admit it. But I believe Antonio Pierce is going to win this job. I love that guy. Travis Kelly with the Harbaugh stuff with the Harbaugh staff at Michigan getting thicker by the day. He might actually be our guy. Dan Quinn is probably holding out for that Cowboys job. Mike McCarthy is a joke. Travis Kelly, welcome to the show, brother. He is a joke, a punchline that isn't very funny. Remember, this is the same guy who tried to motivate his staff by saying, monkey balls. That's what we need, guys. We need monkey balls to go out there and win. I just talked to him today and asked him why he hadn't got his package, and I told him I would work on it, and now it's in your lap?
I took it to the post office, and they told me that the address coming up was Georgia, and I had California.
You see, Travis? You see? More proof that when this, nonsense happens around here, it doesn't have anything to do with me.
I need to know if he lives in California.
I'm innocent.
Ask him if he lives in California or Georgia.
Do you live in California or Georgia? Because Mama Bear needs more assistance to get you your win. And it has nothing to do with me.
Close your eyes, Marlo.
I'm innocent. All right. I say we see what Pierce does, and if it turns things around and has the locker room, he should stay. I completely agree, Jim. It just took a joke, Tom Brady as coach or coach assistant. Right, John? How you doing, John? Welcome to the show. Mauricio Cortez, Raiders should throw a parade just by firing the worst coach ever. That might happen, Mauricio. It's happening on my show right now. I prefer a defensive-minded, hard-nosed head coach, and a solid OC is the way to go if it lines up. Keith Armbruster, yeah, I have to acknowledge your comment, but at the same time, I don't know how I feel. I think that if Antonio Pierce keeps the job, that is a hard-nosed defensive head coach. So, Edwin Catalan Jr., what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Carlos Magana said exactly. I always like when someone refers to something I said as exactly, Raider Bear. I need more of that. I need more when I make these comments, exactly, Raider Bear. They were not getting better. Every game they were regressing. Edwin Catalan Jr., welcome to the show. And not only do I agree with that, I agree with that from fans, because fans can say that because we see that. When your owner says it, though, when it's obvious, we don't want the owner to say it. Give us some insight. You know what I mean? But what is the first thing out of Mark Davis's mouth? Well, I felt like the team was going in the wrong direction.
You think? After fans have been screaming at him to his face for how many days?
I'd like to add 2 + 2 is 4, and the sky is blue.
He's just a little slow.
Oh, well said, Mark. Wow, that's really putting in some input, you moron. Mark Vollmer, we are going to be in the cable for 2 years, in cap hell for 2 years. We have to keep that in mind. Mark Vollmer, welcome to the show. I don't care what sort of cap hell we're in, as long as Josh McDaniels isn't there.
Yeah, but
I'll take it.
Is our next problem.
Every team has to deal with cap hell. Kev Calhoun! Appreciate the love on the stars, supporting Raider Bear family page. I'm glad we got rid of McDaniels, but when will our culture ever change? New coach every 3 years. Omar Godoy, you make a great point, and I mean that. I know I say that a lot, but I want to stress you make a great point. But I think that Antonio Pierce could be the stopgap. He's a genuine Raider because he was a player when he was a pro. He was a stud. He has the respect of the locker room, and he'll have a chance to show the imprint he can put on the team because we got a bunch of games left to go. So we can really get behind him, or if he's a failure, we'll be able to see that too. Because obviously he's taking over a team that's not winning. So you could argue if he doesn't win, it's because of that. But I would argue that you would still be able to see his imprint on this team with this much time left on the season. He could actually turn things around for us just by sitting on Aiden O'Connell and having faith in him. That alone could change a lot of what's going on with our franchise this year. It was nice to hear the G string was benched. Yet another good call by the new coach already. He didn't mess around. He just came right out and said, the G-man ain't cutting it. We don't jump ship. We make you walk the plank and reset the sails in the right direction. The autumn wind is a Raider. Woo! And I'm ready to catch our second win, baby. Thank you, Mark. Exactly what your father Al would have done. Raiders! Marvin Suarez, welcome to the show. Well said. Appreciate you. Everett Richardson said, I love what Antonio Pierce has to say. Love the vibe. Yes, Everett. And that is exactly part of, I have many more reasons, but that's part of why I've been saying good hire, hold on to this. because I think that, in other words, my statement is supported by the fact that I already feel like Antonio Pierce is going to win right now. I feel like he is going to turn this franchise around right now. I am confident in him and what he will do with this roster. Mama Bear, you know that messes with my focus. Appreciate the love. No, that was great. Never apologize for giving me a smooch. McDumdum was never a motivation to help the players. Bob Standard, we all knew that was bad. I mean, looking back now, we all knew that was bad. I was one of the first to say, I don't mind that he's coming in as a stiff coach, but you still have to, the players still have to feel like you have their back. And, you could just, come on, guys. You could just tell he didn't have the players back. Look at what he did to Josh Jacobs. If he had done none of what he did to Josh Jacobs, you could maybe argue that, he had some, at least attempts with trying to be a guy amongst the guys. He just never did that. I've never seen a coach, and I'm not exaggerating here. I have never seen a coach in my life that seemed to try so hard to push the players away and say, no, you don't need me. Just stay over there. You guys are professionals. We don't need all this rah stuff. Okay. You have a job and a contract and you're a man. You need to get out there and win. That was his angle. And I'm not arguing that that's not true. They are men. They do have contracts and they are responsible for how they perform. But that's not the essence of football. It goes back to when you're a little boy, you look up to your coach, and part of football is heart, inspiration. It's mental. And he was killing that part of the team, literally killing it. It's saying that it almost going out of his way to say it meant nothing. You're a man and a player. That means nothing. If you need to be motivated in this day and age, you're not a professional. And I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that even mildly. I don't mind that Bill Belichick does what he does with the Patriots. That's fine. Be a curmudgeon. But if you actually listen to the players talk about him, they say all the time that they love the guy. He's funny. He parties. You know what I mean? He just doesn't let anyone else see that side. Do you see what I'm saying? But McDaniels didn't have the side at all to show whether it was on camera or off. Stephen Lee, yeah, welcome to the show. Edgard Lucky De Leon, Bear, I was about to boycott every game after Monday's game. I was shouting, fire this clown. Edgard Lucky De Leon, what I was doing was removing the emotion from it. Mama Bear actually mentioned to me the other day. She asked me, she goes, you don't even seem mad about the loss. And I said, why would I get mad about what I expect? You know what I mean? You can't expect winning. You know what I mean? I expect losses. And when we get a win, then I'm like, hey, right on, Raider Nation. You know what I mean? I'm not going anywhere. I was born for this, bred to this. So I wasn't going anywhere. We all know that. Whether it was, and I'm not now. And if we get another coach and he sucks, I'm not going anywhere. And if he loses for a long time, I'm not going anywhere. If we lose for the next 15, 20 years, guess what? I'm not going anywhere. I'm a Raider fan. I don't quit. But do I pray for the future and for our winning? You better believe it. How in the world can Jimmy get $12 million? He hardly played between the concussion, his back, etc. Yeah, but it's guaranteed, Corinna. It's a part of the overall total of his contract and his injury guaranteed. To be honest with you, though, be happy because it could have been a lot more. It could have been a lot more. Keith Armbruster, I'm hoping on Tyree that he works out too. I really do. John Sueza, aloha, brother. Awesome news. Wake up to, yes, it's incredible. Bob Standard said, thank God we don't have to deal with noodle arm Jimmy G anymore. Appreciate you, Jake Scott. Welcome to the show. Always there for Raider Bear. I know you're with me. Ben Diesel said, Bear, I remember you saying a couple shows ago that we were going to have to endure a full season of McDaniels. What do you think expedited the process for Mark Davis to pull the trigger? Ben Diesel, I love that profile pic, brother. I love you, brother. You are living life. I have so much Batman stuff to tell you. I could fill a show on it, but we'll do that later. I think honestly, it was the emotion of Sunday's loss and the Bears loss. The Bears loss was already embarrassing. And the Lions game, we were in that game. So if you really look at what all the analysts were saying the Lions were going to cream us, that they were going to get better after their big loss coming home and taking it to us. Well, they didn't. I know the score looks that way, and I know some of the stats look like that with that running back getting the big yardage he did. But let's not forget, the entire first half of that game, we were looking like they're equal, if not scaring the Lions into, oh, yikes. Are we going to take an L tonight? Because these guys are playing hard. You know what I mean? But then they just got fed up and they started remembering that Josh McDaniels is their coach. And then you don't like, trying to bring down a running back who's really bringing it, on a team that has, expectations and they're emotionally responding to their coach. See, they were supposed to go into this and kill us. And so they were trying to do that. They were trying to get back on track and look like the team that everyone's been predicting to be a sexy pick to go into the playoffs and maybe do some things this year for the first time in a long. Come on. I mean, we all know the Lions are they are garbage. And this is them just starting to pull out of the dumps. Okay. So the idea that they were going to smoke us was ridiculous. Before we fired Josh McDaniels, even though I had the scoop, I thought we could go into the Lions game and surprise them. I thought that we were going to be their trap game because they were going into this with a lot of hype, with a lot of the press saying, oh, they need to rebuild themselves after taking that shellacking the week prior, because they did. They got beat down bad the week prior to playing us. And then you go into the game and we looked all their equal. Marcus Peterson returned 6 touchdown interception. To me, I was like holding on to my breath, like, damn, we might have these guys today. And then, we went back into depression. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry, guys. There were people that were saying we quit in that game. I don't agree with that. I think there is a difference. And I mean this with the bottom of my heart of everything I've ever said about football. There is a difference between quitting and conceding defeat. They're not going to give their all for that guy. Yeah, we're in this game. We're playing hard. But you know what? They're playing hard too. And they're starting to really go hard. And I'm going to try and make plays and everything. But so what? It's Josh McDaniels. You know what I mean? And if I do win, it just reinforces him. Maybe we end up with this guy longer. Yeah. And so I'm not even saying the Raiders were going into it with that logic. I'm saying that's just what ends up happening. And you could see it all over our team. You don't start the game that way if you went in there to quit. You see what I'm saying? We went in there like proud Raiders and we're smashing fools on all sides of the ball. The offensive line, remember the drive that we stopped trying to get Jimmy G going. Who has an entire first half go without a completion of their wide receivers? That's one of the most ridiculous stats I've ever seen. And there's no room to talk about whether Jimmy was rusty or it was his foot or it was his back or this or that. You can't complete a single pass in 2 quarters. That is a blaring warning sign of get rid of this guy. Okay. So yet another move that looks brilliant, because trust me when I say the benching isn't all that's going to go down here. It's not just a benching. It would be a releasing if we didn't have such a tenuous situation at quarterback. We'll look for someone else. And as soon as we quietly hire someone else, a 3rd string guy to be the new 3rd string guy, maybe we bring back the kid we had on the roster all that time, the kid from Cal Berkeley, Chalmers or Chambers or whatever his name is. I'm forgetting it now. Just bring him back and release Jimmy Garoppolo. Give him his $12 million and tell him to get that. Try not to cuss. The Pierce press conference today got me pumped up. He said all the right things I wanted to hear. Neil Adams, welcome to the show. It got me pumped up too. And I just want to say one brother to another. That's because he's legit. He's real. He's not that phony that we've been dealing with for however long it's been, a year and a half or whatever. Good riddance. Once a Raider, never a Raider. Get out. And Antonio Pierce, I guarantee, whoa, that he won't make you feel that way. He could lose every one of these remaining games, and we will applaud him because he's a man and he won't make excuses and say, oh, on any given play, if you just have a little bit more chemistry and that play had worked, then, that all sorts of things could have changed. I'm Josh McDaniels. Get out. Get out. Kim Calhoun. Appreciate the love on the stars, girl. Bear looking good. How's your health? Troy Gill. I appreciate you, brother. Much love. I really do. I really appreciate that. Now, just briefly, I'm doing good, but not every Raider fan asks me that. And so I really appreciate the love, brother. I'm doing good. But I'm not going to lie. The reason why my schedule has been sporadic and I've been missing shows and adding shows here and there at times I don't normally do it and missing shows has been because of my health concerns. Now, I've been okay, but my doctor has been saying I have to cut back and I have to listen. And I'm sorry. Although I don't have any reason to apologize to Raider Nation, I want you to know I still genuinely feel bad about doing less shows. But I'm going to try and get closer to my regular schedule as soon as I can. But in the meantime, I do have to respect the doctor's orders, or the boss behind me will let me have it. And that's true. She's a real Raider wife. And that's my dogs right there. Oh, look at that. I didn't see you put them in their costumes. Look at Count Dogula. That's my guy right there. And Bo Bear, the bat dog. I love that. Bo Bear Jackson. Yeah, pick up the bat dog. Let him see him. He's so black that you can't see the straps. It's like they're literally growing out of his back. He looks like a gargoyle. Miguel Garcia says 10-7 the rest of the way. Miguel, I'm not going to make a prediction just yet. I want to see how the team responds to him. I know it's going to be positive, but I want to see how the outcome of that response is going to be. We can't just predict he's going to win every game moving on. You know what I mean? It feels that way. But I'm going to look at this. I'm going to look at this first game because the Giants, to me, is a very winnable game, guys. They have injuries. They were already not a very good team. They already have decided that the quarterback of their future is not panning out, and he really isn't their future. They're going to, so their team is almost exactly like ours in the sense of how they're in the middle of a rebuild that has talent on it. There's talent on that Giants roster. There really is. And remember, they made a move to bring in Darren Waller. They were feeling aggressive about that roster, even though they don't look better than they looked last year or the year before. They still made an aggressive move to bring in a guy that they thought, this could turn things around. But the soft rebuild, bringing in Dable, the coach, who I happen to like, and trading for Darren Waller, it doesn't look like it's working. I like the aggressiveness, but thus far, it doesn't look like it's working for the Giants. And I don't know if Saquon Barkley's going to play or not, but even if he does, their star running back, he's only been, so-so. He's been a little bit banged up. So I can't expect him to be the normal intimidating presence that he is. So I expect that we can handle this Giants team and that Antonio Pierce can get off to a win with this. And the timing's perfect. Let him make his imprint on the team, put him out there. They face a team that even if they give him a tough time, it's a beatable team. And then we can move on to the next with some momentum and some positivity. And I like what I see coming. Bear is the same, but do you think Davis found some brain cells or just caved to fan pressure? Jim Vanderlyn, I feel like he caved to fan pressure and the fact that there were other football people amongst Raider Nation. And I'm going to be honest with you. I have a name. I really do. I have a name and I can't give it to you. I can't. I was asked, just like the tip on Friday that Josh McDaniels was going to get fired. I got another tip. Now I can walk around this tip. Okay. I can walk around this one. So Mark Davis was approached by a Raider legend that Mark Davis respects, and he respects a lot of them. So, don't try to narrow it down and say, oh, it must have been this guy, because you'll never figure it out. But a Raider Nation, a Raider beloved former player went to Mark Davis and sunned him and coached him up a little bit up here and made Mark Davis make the move. Now, when I heard on Friday about the fact that Mark Davis was going to fire him, that he'd made up his mind, I want to make it clear, I'm not trying to show off, because you notice I'm also bringing up the part of my prediction that was wrong. Now, when I predicted that Mark Davis would be firing Josh McDaniels this season for sure, I added that it wouldn't be till the end of the season. I felt like Mark Davis wanted that protection for him to be doing a job search for another coach without, people hounding him about it, including the press and the fans, while Josh McDaniels is still running things. So when the old school player went to Mark Davis and said what he said, and then Josh lost again, another game that looked winnable, he pulled the trigger. But I can't say which old player influenced it, because then that I can't. It's associated with my snitch. So just know that this is a good sign, because Mark Davis giving in, so to speak, and listening to someone else in making the decision shows that maybe moving forward, whether he keeps Antonio Pierce or hires someone else, maybe now he's giving his ear to guys who know football better than him. At least in this instance, that looks like that's what happened. So maybe moving forward, we get less of Mark Davis's decisions and Mark Davis putting his imprint on this franchise. And maybe now the Charles Woodsons, the Jim Ottos, other people that are Raider legends can step to him and say, Mark, we gotta do this, or we gotta do this. You know what I mean? Ramon Gallego said, best show ever, Raider Bear. Appreciate that, Ramon. James Farrell, what's up, brother? Congratulations to the Texas Rangers. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. I don't think anyone necessarily saw that coming. That's right. It's the only shield in the NFL. Tell him, Vicky. Keith Armbruster, love you, Raider Bear. Sorry I don't catch a lot of your cast. Freaking work, dude. No, don't. Hey, man, you don't have to apologize for that, brother. I have a lot of people. I never feel like you're letting me down. I don't feel like I'm losing viewers. I know how it is. You know what I mean? You got to take care of your family. You got to pay your bill. Tom Shepard, finally, I'm actually excited to be going to the Jets game. Honestly, I was thinking of selling the tickets. No, Tom Shepard. In fact, I would argue with you that moving forward, that whole fan presence of other teams taking over our stadium, I don't expect to see that moving forward quite as much, if at all, because Raider Nation is passionate. We love this team. And now seeing that Mark Davis has made a real decision, getting rid of the bum, but not just getting rid of the bum, getting a guy who truly believes he's a Raider. See, I don't know if Antonio Pierce ever played for the Raiders. I apologize for that. I didn't look that up before Showtime. But I know that he was a giant. He was a champion, and he is a committed man. And he has been with us for years now. So see, he sees himself as a Raider, which he is, in my opinion, because he's a former player, not of the Raiders, but a former player and a guy that's been on our staff for a while. So that guy has assimilated the Raider Nation. He has assimilated this team, and he is a Raider. I believe that, and I believe he believes that. I believe the fans believe that, and I believe he will bring that belief out in anyone who doesn't see it that way, and they will come aboard when he brings this exact same roster this season and starts winning. You watch. It's coming. I believe this. I'm not ready to release the Kraken yet. I'm letting Antonio Pierce do that. But I'm saying for the record, so that there's no question about it, and it doesn't look like I'm just saying it because it started, we will start winning. It will be because of Antonio Pierce, and we will look better moving from here on out. And we will want to keep this coach. Mark my words. Bear, the result is the same, but do you think Davis found a few? No, I don't know. I read that already. Sorry. Tim Brown chimed in the other day. Okay, see, now you guys can predict names. I'm not saying who it was. I'm just saying a legend got to him and said to him, it's actually better to let him go than keep him around while you look for the other coach. Get rid of him. It makes Raider Nation fired up. It makes the players fired up. And now he can do the search because the press isn't going to bark and bother Mark Davis that much about who the new coaching find will be. They'll be more interested in what the team is doing in responding to the Antonio Pierce hiring. Does the interim coach label come off? That's the kind of thing that the press is going to be looking for. Do the players respond to him? Is Antonio going to want to, excuse me. I'm so excited. Is Devontae Adams going to want to stick around if him and Aiden O'Connell develop a relationship and we win with him? See, there's a lot of stuff, man, coming down the road. And I'm already saying it. Look at me. Look at me. I'm saying it right now. Aiden O'Connell is going to be nice. He is going to develop a relationship with Devontae Adams. We are going to roll. We're not going to go undefeated, but even the games we lose, we're going to be in those games. And we're not going to leave those games disappointed because we're going to know it's going to be like, darn it, we had him. You know what I mean? Next year with Aiden O'Connell, the true starter from the jump, we're going to get those guys. And that's the kind of logic you're going to hear from Raider fans moving forward because we're going to win and we're going to win right now. I love this. I can't say enough how much I love this, guys, because the bottom line is we're going to win with Antonio Pierce. We're going to do it right now. It's going to be beautiful. And when we start this ascension, it's going to be a beautiful thing. And I love this. Look, I'm so excited. I can't get my show's music to come on. Yes! R8RBEAR! The sun shines again on the Raider Nation. Here we come. Antonio Pierce, a new attitude in the locker room. Woo! Let it be known we're coming to the rest of the NFL. It's a whole nother season now, and we have just enough time to turn it around. R8RBEAR! All right, that's my show. Much love. Shout out to our armed forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, National Guard, for all you do. The energy and love of this show is dedicated to your sacrifice, active and veteran. Much love. Space Force. I'll see you tomorrow at 8 R8RBEAR family page. Peace.